What's happening, everyone? Happy Saturday. I hope your weekend is off to a fantastic start. I'm live here at Westshore Mall in Tampa, Florida, and it's a good thing that I'm inside, right? Because it's like 94 degrees outside with a feels like temperature of 106. Tampa, can you turn the heat up anymore? It is ridiculously hot outside. Unbelievable. All right, everyone, let's talk some sports here. We're going to start off with some college football today. The season kicks off next weekend, and I can't wait. And I'm sure you can't wait either, right? And week zero, they call it, which I think is stupid. Why not call it just week one? I know next weekend is a small sample size of college football. The big weekend is the following weekend, right? But let's talk about one game in particular next weekend, and that's Kansas State and Iowa State. They're playing in Dublin, Ireland. That is the big game of the weekend next weekend, right? And I'm going to pick Kansas State to win this game, right? Kansas State, Avery Johnson, dual threat quarterback, can run it and throw it. He's got some experience. And look, uh, Roscoe Beck is a good quarterback for Iowa State, too. But Iowa State lost both their starting receivers from last year. So I think it's going to take him a while to build that chemistry with his receivers on the perimeter. So I'm going to pick Kansas State, and I think Kansas State's defense is going to be better this year. All right, let's talk about my 12 teams who I think are going to make it to the playoffs in college football this season. So I'll try to get through this pretty quickly. Texas, number one, right? Arch Manning will be the quarterback this year. Dual threat guy, a lot like his grandfather, Archie Manning, right? He's a little bit different from Eli and Peyton, his uncles, but they were like statue quarterbacks who stood back there in the pocket. Obviously, they were very good Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right? But Arch Manning brings a different element to the game. He brings that run element to the game. And also Texas, Anthony Hill, one of the better linebackers in college football, is on this Texas team. This Texas team probably has more NFL draft prospects than any team in college football on this season. Number two, Ohio State. I'm going to go with the defending national champions here, right? Caleb Downs might be the best defensive back in college football. Jeremiah Smith, probably the best wide receiver in college football, right? The only question, and the rest of their roster is loaded too. The only question this team has is the quarterback position, right? They're going to have a new starting quarterback this year. Wood Howard got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 6th round. So they're probably going to be starting Julian Sain, who's highly regarded, highly recruited, right? So it looks like he's going to be the starter, and he will be the difference on whether or not this team can be a national championship contender or not. Penn State, their roster is loaded, right? James Franklin, I have them at number three. Their roster is loaded. He hasn't proven that he can win the big games. Now, Penn State did go to the semifinals in college football on last season, one of their better seasons in a long time. Their roster's loaded. I think Drew Allar has a chance to be a first-round pick, so we'll see if he elevates his game to another level. The only problem with this Penn State team, one of their weaknesses is the wide receiver position, right? They hit the transfer portal hard, so let's see what they get out of that. But their running game is going to be spectacular. They got two of the better running backs in college football. Their offensive line and their entire defense is loaded with talent. This is a talented roster in Penn State. Let's go to number four. Let's go to the Georgia Bulldogs, right? Kirby Smart, one of the better coaches in college football, two-time national champion, but he hasn't won without Stetson Bennett yet. And Gunnar Stockton looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback. Kirby Smart speaks very highly of him, talks about the way he studies film and how he's a student of the game, etc. But I haven't seen it from Stockton yet on the field, so we'll see what happens from that standpoint. I think Georgia, the rest of the roster is stacked, particularly in the trenches. I think the offensive defensive lines are going to be phenomenal. Number five, Notre Dame. I think they may have the best running back in the country, and Jeremiah Love. And they're going to be good in the trenches too. Offensive, defensive line, well coached by Marcus Freeman. The quarterback position is the question mark on whether or not they'll be a national contender or not. They got two guys competing, C.J. Carr and Kenny Mincy. Kenny Mincy is a dual threat guy, can run it and he can throw it. So he's pushed C.J. Carr a little bit here in camp. All offseason, C.J. Carr was the favorite. So we'll see what happens there in Notre Dame. All right, let's go to number six, Clemson. Cade Klubnik is probably one of the better returning starting quarterbacks in college football. Had a great year on last year for Clemson. And this year he's got better weapons on the perimeter. Clemson defensive line is probably going to be the best in the country, right? T.J. Parker, one of the best edge rushers in college football, should be a first-round pick. Peter Woods, defensive tackle, should be a first-round pick for Clemson as well. So their defensive line is loaded. The only weakness I see on this team is possibly their secondary, right? So if you can block those guys in the trenches, you might be able to beat Clemson deep. But right now, I have them number six in the country. Number 7, let's go to Oregon. They got a new starting quarterback this year, Dylan Gabriels with the Cleveland Browns, right? Dante Moore, 5-star recruit out of high school, dual threat guy to run it and throw it. He initially went to UCLA for a year, now transferred to Oregon. He's going to be starting quarterback, and he will be good, no doubt about it. Now, this Oregon team, top to bottom on their roster, is not as good as last year, but I still think they're a playoff team. Number 8, Alabama just announced Ty Simpson will be the starting quarterback. Alabama might have the best offensive line in college football this year. Caden Proctor is probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, right? Ryan Williams, who I think will be the second best wide receiver in college football, is on their roster. Their front 7 on defense, led by Deontay Lawson, is going to be outstanding as well. The only weakness I see on this team is possibly their secondary, which is unheard of because Nick Saban always kept that secondary loaded when he was the head coach there. All right, number 9, LSU, right? My Tigers. Garrett Nussmeier's got a chance to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He's probably got one of the strongest arms in college football. He's a lot more athletic than what we've seen. Obviously, we want to keep him healthy and not running too much, right? But he does have that ability. We just haven't seen it a lot. And then you got Caden Durham and Harlem Berry, 1-2 punch at running back. LSU will be good there. Wide receiver, they're loaded, led by Nick Anderson, transfer from Oklahoma. I mean, they can go 6 deep at the wide receiver position. I expect their defense to be better than it has been the last few years, with Weeks returning that linebacker. They got Patrick Payton, edge rusher from Florida State, transferring over to LSU. The only question mark I see with this LSU team is the offensive line. 4 of their 5 starters from last year were drafted last year, right? So they have 1 returning starter. They did recruit really well, and they hit the transfer portal really well. So we'll see how those guys step up on the offensive line for LSU. Number 10, Miami. Carson Beck, who at one point was considered a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, had a down year with Georgia last year, transferring to Miami. But I tell you what, he's going to have arguably the best or the second best offensive line in college football. Alabama, Miami have the 2 best offensive lines in college football. And I think Miami's defense will be a little bit better than it was last year. So I have them at number 10. Number 11, Arizona State. I think they'll win the Big 12, so they'll get an automatic berth. They'll have one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, Sam Levitt. And I think they'll have the 3rd best wide receiver in the country in Jordan Tyson as well, right? So we talked about Jeremiah Smith in Ohio State and Ryan Williams at Alabama, but I think Arizona State will have the 3rd best wide receiver in the country as well. And then number 12, Boise State. Obviously, they lost Ashton Jeanty to the draft, playing right now with the Oakland Raiders. They won't be as good as they were last year, but one group of 5 team has to get in the playoffs, and they'll still be the best group of 5 team in college football. All right, real quick, let's move over to college basketball. BYU, yes, BYU will be must-see TV in college basketball this season. AJ DeBancer, right, who's arguably one of the top 2 players in high school basketball last year in New Jersey area, is going to BYU. Yes, BYU, Neil money. They put a lot of money into their basketball program, and AJ DeBancer arguably could be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the NBA draft on next year. This kid is elite, and BYU will be must-see TV in college basketball. I think Houston still wins the Big 12, but I like BYU to be number 2 in the Big 12 and be a top 10 program in college basketball. Let's finish up with WNBA action on today. The New York Liberty lost to the Minnesota Lynx today. I think the Lynx are going to be the team that's going to win it all this year. And they won that game even without Nafisa Collier. And once she comes back, I mean, I think they're loaded, right? But look, the New York Liberty got some injuries as well, right? So I still think these 2 teams could be a repeat of last year in the WNBA Finals. Emma Nieseman from Belgium is giving them some more size in the paint for the New York Liberty, right? And they're still without Breanna Stewart, but I still like this Minnesota Lynx team to win it all on this year. Angel Reese still out with a back injury. There's a month left in the season, and there's really no need to rush her back because the Chicago Sky's got like the 2nd worst record in the WNBA. A month left in the season. I'm not sure if she's going to be back. No need to rush her back. Tomorrow in the WNBA, one game I want to highlight, the Atlanta Dream on the road against the surprising Golden State Valkyries, right, who were an expansion team, 1st year in the league with a winning record. But I like the Atlanta Dream and where they're playing. I think they go on the road and win that game on tomorrow. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be blessed, be safe, have some fun. Y'all have a great one.